Hey everyone, welcome to Behind the Bar. My name is Chandler Phillips, and with me as always is.
I'm James Beery.
And today we are drinking a fall festive favorite, hot buttered cider.
Ooh, keeping us warm out here in these streets.
It is one of the first really cold weeks of fall here in New York, and we decided to get into the spirit a little bit with a fall favorite. Spiced apple cider that is heated and then given some alcohol, and then we put a little butter in it.
With a little butter. So first of all, buttered cider.
Buttered cider.
What is a buttered cider?
Buttered cider, aka hot buttered rum,
Hot buttered rum.
aka what you want a hot toddy to be when you order it, but it's better. Is a hot beverage. Again, with seasonal spices of winter, the cinnamon, the allspice, the nutmeg, what have you. And it's brewed. It's a brewed dude with a rude attitude. And then you get a little dollop of melted butter. You'll let that in there. And then you throw a shot of some alcohol. And
Well, usually it's rum.
usually, typically, on average, it's rum. But for a hot buttered cider, we left it a little ambiguous, so it could be whatever alcohol you want. Other fan favorites, whiskey, both rye and bourbon. Not scotch though. Scotch isn't invited to the hot buttered rum party.
Maybe not, no.
And also, typically with aged rum, that's the other thing, is we would, if we were to do this with rum, we would use a nice barrel-aged rum, perhaps a Zacapa 23.
Something
or
with a little body, something with a little
Something with a
something
little,
to get in there, something to get
or
real
a
close.
Florida Cagna 12, or
Oh, good vintage.
yeah, that's, or
A
even
good year.
like a Diplomatico, I think would be good in a hot. But today we got, because it's a traditional colonial drink. Shout out to colonialism.
Shout out to colonialism. If you love your mama, give her a hug. We take your house next.
Damn, it's still too soon, man.
I know, right?
Still too soon.
Rest in peace, moms. Not mine. Not yours. Somebody's.
To all the moms out there.
So we're
What were we saying? Oh, yeah. So because it's a colonial favorite, and because it's like apples are a major thing here in New York, we're doing hot apple cider with hot buttered apple cider with a shot of Applejack,
which
in
is a apple brandy.
it is an apple brandy that is unique to colonial New England and the America Northeast. You know about like what was the dude? Appleman
What are you talking about?
Appleman Johnson? No.
Wait, what the fuck are you talking about? Wait, you're talking. Oh, wait, fuck. He's a black dude, and his apples and shit. He could like pick the apples and stuff. Oh fuck.
No, Johnny Appleseed.
Oh yeah.
That's
I
the
I was gonna say something else, but it wasn't gonna be appropriate.
Oh. Do they have
Johnny Applestein.
Johnny? John. Would his name still be Johnny? It'd be like Joshua.
Moish.
Yeah.
Stop. Okay, wait, hold up. So then the butter goes into the Applejack.
So you got the
The
spices.
apple brandy.
Spices go in the cider. Cider goes on the stove. Then got apple brandy in the cider. Now we got the butter, a little puck of butter, expertly crafted by this one's truly.
So I got here. What they call it again?
Compound butter.
Compound butter. Take some butter, plant butter, whatever you want. Put shit in it. Fucking roll it up, square it, put it in a tub. Use that shit on stuff.
What'd you put in?
Ooh,
What'd you put
delicious.
in this compound
Dark
butter?
brown sugar, ground clove, nutmeg, and cinnamon. We're doing a little butter taste test, a little plant butter taste test.
That's a pretty good compound butter.
Oh, that's pretty fucking good.
Now, what also makes a compound butter is usually a conjunction and a comma. It's a little
What a fucking.
little grammar humor for you.
What a fucking.
Let's give it a little dipperooski. So why would someone want to have a hot buttered cider?
I have a lot of different ideas. So one, I'm gonna get this stirred in here. I'm gonna let this melt for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the thing, right? One, you have to think about where these kind of like things come from, right? Okay.
They come from the cold
They
places.
come from cold places, right? Maybe the kind of place where like you'd want something to keep warm, something delicious, delectable, but also something that can sustain you.
Something to put a little meat on your bones.
Not just like fill your belly, but actually help sustain you
Mm-hmm.
because you might not have a lot of food. Maybe you're
true.
a farmer. Maybe you have an excess of butters or fat or leftover things.
And butter would be one of those things that doesn't really turn because it itself is a preservative.
You work on an apple farm.
Work on an apple farm.
Maybe you got some cows too, or some sheep.
You got yourself a little homestead.
It gets to the winter and you're doing all your canning and shit, and you think to yourself, like, there's some butter left over. You take it, you put it in your drink. What you get is a concoction of something that's like very rich. Look at this here. It's a very rich, kind of cloudy kind of color. You know, it's actually not as greasy as you think it'd be.
I think the sugar.
You're so into it right now.
I am. I'm so focused on stirring this.
It wasn't as hot as when we first sat down.
Okay, I was scared about burning myself. I have been burned before by beverages,
And people.
and corporations
Mostly corporations.
because they aren't people.
But they love you. They care about you. Your family.
We're like a family here. So,
So let's talk
about buttered rum.
about buttered beer, buttered cocktail.
Not buttered beer. Buttered beer is.
That,
I think it's a different thing.
It's the big butter. It's the big butter.
Yeah, it's.
Fuck it. Instead of the big game, I'm trying to fucking.
It's.
I'm trying to get sued.
Oh, okay. I see what you mean. The game that shall not be named. Is
Like that.
Okay. Another reason you might want to have a butter cider is along with the heartiness of it, kind of turns your alcoholic drink into a chowder. It kind of seems like when the butter melts and it separates, it has like this top insulation layer that, from what I've tried earlier, kept the drink a lot hotter for a little bit longer
here we
time.
go. We got some fucking bro science.
I am familiar with the fact that butter and other fats and lipids have a tendency to insulate heat, just kind of like blubber on a whale.
Yes.
And if we were to think of this mug as a cylinder of whale, this part being the whale flesh, meat, bone, and vital organs, and then this little top layer of butter as the blubber. I
First of all,
hypothesize.
Hold on. But then we gotta really factor in all the factors of heat dissipation here, because we have here this very thin glass vessel. The majority of the product in there that's exposed to something that's not itself, anything that's on the outside, mostly is being exposed to the glass. So one could argue that most of the thermal loss would be from the actual glass itself.
But it doesn't have, because of the convection, the hot is going to be at the top. And then it hits the top and it hits that butter ceiling. It bounces right back down.
But it's still touching glass, though. And this is not a good insulator.
It is not a good insulator.
It's not really the theory. I mean,
That's my
here's the thing.
hypothesis.
This is the wrong glass for this cocktail. But we're shooting some video, so I thought it'd be.
Wow, that is really good though. You get so much of the rich. Like it tastes like you're eating apple pie or drinking apple pie with a little bit of bite at the end. And I gotta say, I like this so much more than a hot toddy. We have done hot toddies countless times, and
It's not the same.
Any other Any other attempt at doing a hot cocktail I have disliked because the alcohol and the heat seemed way too aggravating or agitating to my esophagus.
To your tummy?
To my no, to my
You got hot girl problems?
to my delicate throat. That's
Hot.
it would be like the temperature would be too hot and then the ethanol on top of like whatever inflamedness from the temperature would be like, haha, gotcha.
Yeah.
This one with the butter in it, it's more soothing. It's more of a it's you get that the little bite from the alcohol, little bark from the heat. Then the butter is just like, it's okay, man.
You know what? I have to completely concede that you're, for once, you're kind of right about this. All right, check this out. This Applejack that we're using
Yeah,
is 100 proof.
just the way I like it.
I can't tell.
That's true.
I cannot tell.
This does not have nearly as much of that bite.
My witch's hat is hiding my face.
He is unsurprised, unfazed by
I'm
the
not.
100
I'm,
proof Applejack.
I'm not. I'm not surprised at all. Unsurprised. Unfazed.
Have you had the Applejack on its own before?
Yes.
And
I
think-
don't remember. I kind of wish we'd had it with us. Maybe we will.
Well, if and when we tried the Applejack, you discovered that it has a bite, a spice.
A spice.
It is not. It is a 100 proof
God, that's gross.
brandy that is given some barrel aging, but not nearly enough that you would get with a whiskey that would make it mellow on the ethanol side. It is still very sharp, to say. But yeah, this is soothing almost. I would say I'd prefer this if I had a scratchy throat. I would prefer this over an actual like hot lemon tea with honey.
And you could also kind of make it fun, because like, let's say you don't have Applejack.
What if we didn't have Applejack? What would you want to use?
Make Applejack.
You would make Applejack? How does one even make Applejack?
I don't know, Chandler. How does one make Applejack?
Applejack making is a fun distillation process known as fractal distillation in traditional senses. The thing that makes Applejack different from traditional apple brandies is, in fact, this distillation process unique to the colder side of the hemisphere, where people would make a shit ton of apple cider or just apple juice. Like that's pressed apple juice is apple cider, right? Why do we call it cider?
In the U.S. and in Europe, it's different. Look it up. It's on the internet, but there's a reason.
Okay. Does it have to do with like merchandising?
No.
Like branding apples?
No. There's something to do with, with like hard cider being a thing. Hard cider is a thing in the U.S. It's not a thing in Europe.
I see.
So you have Applejack and cider. If you went to the UK, cider. Don't fucking come at me, oi bruvs. But like the cider is always alcoholic, and apple juice is just apple juice.
Well, here we got apple juice, apple cider, which I guess the difference between apple juice and apple cider here would be the
It's unfiltered usually.
yeah, the pulp.
Yeah.
The yeah,
Pulpy apple juice.
pulpy apple juice. And then you would you would brew apple juice, apple cider into hard apple cider. You would ferment it. Then you would take that hard apple cider and keep it in vats in a very snowy, cold environment, and you'd let it sit out for a couple of days. And what happens is all the water and some of the soluble stuffs that can freeze at freezing temperatures will freeze, and so you end up with just like a slush, right? Or even better, you end up with just chunks of ice floating around in your cider. You take that out, and you're basically just taking out the water content, and that's you're distilling it. It is distilling because it's going from a bigger volume of the alcohol with other stuff, and then you take out the other stuff because it's frozen and it's solid, and then just boom, all you got left is the alcohol.
So effectively, you're saying you could just get a cider, throw that shit in the freezer, cold enough, pour off the unfrozen portion.
Yep.
Which in reality, from a can of cider, would be very little.
Very,
You would have to. You would have
like
to
the average cider is what, 5% alcohol?
Yeah. You would have to get a lot or get big cans or bottles.
Yeah.
But you could.
You could. But here's the catch. Here is the little.
Oh, here it comes.
here's
Here he
the-
comes talking about chemicals and hurting yourself. Go ahead.
Yeah, with our usual practices of like thermal distillation, we are able to separate ethanol from methanol, and because they boil off at different what's it called, degrees, and so you get a clear like fusel alcohols stay out, the drinkable ethanol, the good stuff, is distilled off. This doesn't get rid of any of that because that doesn't freeze at it doesn't freeze at the same spot that water freezes at, and so therefore, hence thus ergo.
But here's a real question. In mass producing of like Apple Jack or Apple Brandy, that's probably not a risk, right? Because they probably aren't doing that.
The ones that still do the traditional style of distilling then end up using, or the traditional style of fractal distilling, end up using filters and like carbon filter and like really fine meshes in order to get out, like on a molecular level, they get out the
molecular
they get out all the bad stuff, all the baddies. And so what's left is still the technically fractal distilled, because they do it in the freeze it and then take it out that way. But it's not gonna cause
discomfort,
brain damage. Oh, that part too. But yeah, I think like Laird's Applejack does that. There's a couple of really interesting Applejack distilleries that work out of New York on account of it being,
the Apple State,
the Big Apple. Take a bite.
Hey, I'm eating here.
Hey,
An apple, it's fresh.
She also know other things you can make out of apples would include torts, and according to Breaking Bad, you can make ricin out of apple seeds. This is general knowledge.
And that's where we gotta end this.
It was on Breaking Bad.
That's where we gotta.
According to
that's
Breaking
where we
Bad.
gotta start wrapping it up. That's where we gotta start bringing it to the end. We've been going for a long time. They talking about, I don't know, government, FBI. I don't know what the fuck we're talking about.
I don't know how they make it.
Listen.
And it would probably take a whole lot.
Listen here, snowflakes.
But as we wrap up,
yeah,
would you have hot apple cider or hot buttered cider in your bar?
Oh hell yeah.
We should go back to the William Barnacle Tavern. It's where we tried it the first time with some other stuff, and yeah, they have a really good buttered cider and a variety of different stuff to put in it. If I were to do this again, I think we should do like a heavy aged rum, like a Havana Club, or like something that's really rich and sweet.
That's kind of forward. That kind of gives it that like little bit of character.
Something that gives it. Ooh, you know what might be interesting in this too? Because we could try to lean into the butter part of it and do the Balcones bourbon, or Balcones, the Texas one. I don't know if they do the E. Is there a tilde over the E for Balcones? Either way, that has a very buttery profile to it, so I think that would be a fun one. Anyway, I'm just thinking.
You're just so when you're into it. I'm along for the ride right now.
I'm just thinking of variations.
I'm sipping here my buttered cider and watching you fucking lose your shit.
I just think it's so good. It's so rich. It's like it's apple pie and a drink. It's
100 proof apple pie.
Goes down so smooth.
Whew.
What else could we do to elevate? Or even just variate. Yeah.
Make the cider ourselves.
Oh, I like that. We should go apple picking. We should go apple picking and make.
We should go
apple cider.
apple picking.
We could get a press. It's pretty easy, right?
Yeah, I feel like I'm strong enough.
Yeah, we get one of the ones that has like the screws and stuff.
I could just like squeeze.
Yeah. Just squeeze it.
Squeeze them.
Just like each apple. Just
I might be overselling my strength here.
I mean, it's an apple. How strong can they be?
Right?
I've never.
It's
seen,
a fruit.
Never seen an apple in a strongman competition. Look,
I also never seen an apple in school. I guess they all drop out. I guess they just do drugs all day.
Do you know apples don't go to the doctor either?
They don't?
No, in fact, they are active doctor repellent.
Ah,
Apple a day.
yeah. I think people misunderstood that.
Because an apple a day keeps the doctor away.
Like actively.
Active. It's
My favorite trend on TikTok, this is like very not associated, but fuck it, we're doing it right now, is people who are like, I guess, very gay or queer or whatever, and there's like a fuck around and find out song, and it's because they have a gun. Because they all just have guns.
It's
And like
just
cute little purses and shit. I don't know. I think this is nice.
Okay, we can't.
I think this is the cider. The cider's got me.
This. It's so good. It's so rich.
Like, comment,
Subscribe.
do all those things.
Try yourself some.
Woo.
Find a place that does. If you don't want to make it yourself, but it's easy to make yourself. Just do it. Just do it.
Safely. That was Behind the Bar.
I've been Chandler,
I'm James.
and go get out.
If we don't stop, we're gonna go forever.
It's a cider kind of night.
It's a day. It's just